Hello and welcome to another edition on the Christian Composer. My name is Emmanuel, your usual host. Just in case you're just joining us, I just want to inform you that this is part 3 of a series. Part 1 was the vector and physical vectors, and then part 2 we discussed the vector and disease vectors and how they relate to the Christian faith. So if you haven't watched the previous parts, I implore you to go there so that you will not miss the information that we have learned to date. So this is part 3, and we are dealing with the vector and aviation vectors. What is a vector in aviation? A vector in aviation refers to a signal that an airplane gets from the air traffic control or the control tower that guides the plane throughout its flight. So the airplane now gets a signal, a magnetic signal from the control tower, telling it, okay, go in this direction, make this turn, make that turn, move at this altitude or this speed. That is what a vector is. It is simply a signal that guides a plane throughout its flight. Simple as that. And the types of vectors are linked with the function of the vector. How does my Christian walk relate to aviation and a vector, you might ask? It's very simple. You see, everyone's life can be likened to a plane. You are the pilot of the airplane, and the vectors simply represent the signals we receive that guide our lives throughout our lifetime. Those things that guide your actions, those things that motivate your choices, those things that move you in a specific direction, those are the vectors of your life. And this is a very serious matter because at any given point that a plane is in the air, from the beginning of the journey to the landing point of journey, it must heed to a vector. There's no plane in the air that is not guided by one vector or another. So you see that the issue of a vector is very serious because so many things can guide our lives. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 10, it says, there are so many voices in the world, and none of them is without signification. So there are so many voices bombarding us at any given time, so many potential vectors that can pilot our lives in a specific direction. You wake up in the morning, you check your phone, you see 100 notifications. You have Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, you email, text messages, calls, everything. Everybody wants your attention. Everything wants your attention. Everything wants you to go in a certain way. You have to respond correctly. Now, how are you going to respond correctly to life's challenges? How are you going to do the right thing? How are you going to make the particular choices that you make for a safe lifetime, for a safe flight? That is what vectors talk about. So, as already mentioned, there are many vectors all over the world, but I will discuss 4 prominent vectors that motivate men in our world today. 4 of them. Number 1 is mammon. Mammon. The Bible says in 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 10, it says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. So some people follow the love of money and it takes them to a destination called evil. So mammon is their own aviation vector. Mammon is what guides their decision. And what is mammon? Mammon is the voice that motivates you to prioritize above all other things economic gain. Mammon is the system of the world that wants you to become prominent, that wants you to acquire more. That's what mammon is. Money, power, fame, material things. And so what are the features of this aviation vector called mammon? Number 1 feature is that mammon is all consuming. You are crazy about the money. You have no time for nothing else. It's a crazy cycle, 9 to 5 or whatever. You just want to get more. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 24. Jesus speaking, he says you cannot serve God and mammon. So mammon is so all-consuming that you can't even serve God when you are listening to this aviation vector. Hey, hello, there is money in this direction. Hey, and you quickly turn your plane. The second characteristic of this mammon is that mammon does not satisfy. It is addictive. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 10. It says, to him that loves money, money is never enough. You just want more and more and more of it. You have 1,000, you want 10,000. You have 10,000, you want 100,000. You have 1,000,000, you want 50 million, 200 million, and billions and trillions. You just want more and more of it. You are not satisfied with material things. You just want to keep getting it. It's a crazy cycle. That's another characteristic. So the moment you start listening to the voice of money, that becomes your driving force. That becomes your lifelong pursuit. That becomes your priority. You never have a rest from mammon. And the third characteristic of this mammon is that you live in constant fear that you are going to lose everything. Oh, what I have built for the past 15 years, 20 years, how do I secure it? And then you want to earn more and earn more and earn more so that if you lose some, you will at least not lose all, and you are crazy about this money. That's the third characteristic. You live in fear. The Bible says that the wicked runs when no man pursues. Now, how are you wicked? You are wicked because God does not take center stage in your life. And so you are living in constant fear that you're going to lose everything that you have worked for, labored for all your life. That's the third characteristic of mammon. What is the second aviation vector that men follow? I call it men. Men. Simply, it is directing your life by the opinions of men. So let us look at a few characteristics of this aviation vector called men. Number one is that men are naturally prejudiced. They are biased. So they are not going to give you an objective opinion because they see from a perspective. The Bible says that we see in part, we know in part. So now a man only tells you based on what he sees, what he knows, what he interprets, what he understands. So it is not perfect because men only see. But now, if a man is standing right in front of me and looking at me and facing me, I can see his front view. I can't see what is behind him. A person behind him can see his back view, cannot see what's in front of him. A person standing beside him can only see the side, the respective side that they are. And if I'm asked, I will only say what's in front of me. Suppose he has a black paint at his back and the front is maybe green. I wouldn't know what's at the back. Now, I'm going to advise you based on what I see. So, men speak from their perspective. So, their perspective, their opinion is often biased, often prejudiced, and so it is imperfect. And so, if you decide to listen to the opinions of men, you go to the first man, he gives you an opinion based on his perspective. You go to the second person, he gives you an opinion. You go to the third person, the fourth person, and then you get confusing opinions. It can drive you crazy. There is this popular folk story about a father and a son that were traveling along with their donkey. And the man put the son upon the donkey and he was trekking by the road. And so they got to a station. After trekking a while, they got to a station where they encountered some people. And those people started laughing at them. Look at this foolish father. You put your son on a donkey, you are trekking on the road. What kind of father are you? You have no power. And the man listened to them. And he put the son down and sat upon the donkey. And the boy was trekking, they were going. They got to another station. And the people were angry at the man. They were like, how can you be sitting on the donkey? Your boy is trekking. What kind of selfish father are you? Why don't you put him on the donkey with you? Both of you should sit on the donkey and be traveling together. So he listened to them and he put the son on the donkey. The boy was on the donkey. The father was on the donkey. They were going. And then they got to a third station and people started criticizing them. What kind of heartless people are you? Do you want to kill the donkey? You are sitting on the donkey. Your son is sitting on the donkey. Your donkey, do you want to break the back? And the man listened to them. And he came down, the son came down, the donkey was going freely. And they got to a station and they saw people and people were mocking them and laughing at them. What kind of stupid peer is this? You are trekking on the road. Your son is trekking on the road. The donkey is going freely. What's the use of the donkey? Is it not meant for transport? So the man realized that look, everybody has an opinion. You cannot use men's perspectives to guide your life. Another characteristic of men is that they are by nature selfish. A man will seek his own interests. So now, a man is giving you advice, business advice, financial advice, or advice in some area. He's going to give you advice that best suits his own purpose. The Bible speaking in 1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 2, it says, in the last days, it says, men shall be lovers of themselves. So now we are living in the last days. So men are naturally lovers of themselves. They are selfish. They are self-centered. The opinions they give you serve their interests, otherwise they are not going to be aligned with you. That's another characteristic of men. Number three, you cannot guide your life based on the opinions of men because men are prone to betrayal and deceit. Jeremiah 17 and verse 9. It says, the heart of man is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Who can understand it? You cannot guide your life based on men's advice because you don't even know who is who. You can't see into the hearts of people. So then how can you trust a man's opinion? Because he's laughing with you. You see people's faces, but you can't see their heart. So then how can you trust their opinion that is genuine and from an unfeigned heart? David speaking in Psalms 41 and verse 9. He says, my own familiar friend that I ate with, he has lifted his heel against me. Can you imagine? So if a man like David, a charismatic and inspirational leader like David, would have his best friend turn around against him, who are you to think that people will not betray you? Guide your life with men's opinion at your own risk. And finally, men's opinions can pollute you because a man's heart, as we learned already, the natural man doesn't have a pure heart. So then he's going to give you based on his own perspective, which might pollute your spirit. Just as we learned in Jeremiah 17 verse 9, that the heart is desperately wicked. So they are going to give you from their wicked treasures. So the first aviation vector is mammon. The second aviation vector, men. And the third aviation vector I have called